I was standing in our kitchen that Tuesday evening, stirring the pasta carbonara on the stove, Amanda's favorite. The smell of garlic filled the air, and soft jazz played from the speaker on the counter. I had just gotten home from work about an hour earlier, and I was looking forward to a quiet dinner with my wife. But then my phone buzzed. Amanda texted saying she needed to talk about something serious tonight. A knot formed in my stomach. I had no idea that conversation would destroy everything I thought I knew about us. The sound of her keys in the door made my heart race. Before we dive into what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Drop your location in the comments below. If you are finding this story interesting so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss what comes next. Trust me, you will want to stick around to find out how one conversation can change your entire life, and what I did when she thought I would just accept it all. Amanda walked through the door with her work bag slung over her shoulder. She looked tired, but there was something else in her expression that I could not quite read. She smiled at me, but it did not reach her eyes. I served the pasta onto 2 plates and brought them to our small dining table. We sat down across from each other like we had done hundreds of times before, but this time felt different. The air was thick with something unspoken. She took a bite, complimented the food, and then put her fork down. That is when she said it. She wanted to try an open marriage. The words hung in the air between us like smoke. I sat there, frozen, my fork halfway to my mouth. She explained that we had been married for 5 years now, and she loved me, but she felt like she needed to explore. She said she did not want to feel tied down anymore. She talked about how this could actually strengthen our relationship, how it would give us both freedom while still staying committed to each other. She kept saying she still loved me, she just needed something more. I felt like someone had slapped me across the face. My first reaction was to ask why. What had I done wrong? Were we not happy? She reached across the table and touched my hand, telling me this was not about me. It was about her needing more from life. She said she had been thinking about this for months, and I had no idea. I asked her if there was someone else, and she paused just long enough for me to know the truth before she even answered. She said no, not yet, but she wanted the option to see other people, and she wanted me to have that option too. But I did not want that option. I just wanted her. The next 2 weeks were the worst of my life up to that point. I barely slept. Every night I would lie next to Amanda in our bed, but it felt like there was an ocean between us. I kept replaying our 5 years together in my mind. The day we met at a mutual friend's barbecue, our first trip together to the mountains, the way she laughed at my terrible jokes, the night I proposed to her on the beach at sunset. We had talked about having kids someday, buying a bigger house, growing old together. All of that felt like it was slipping away. Amanda did not let up. She kept trying to convince me. She would send me articles about ethical non-monogamy and how some couples actually thrived with this arrangement. She would tell me about friends of friends who had tried it and were happier than ever. She kept saying this would not change how much she loved me, but I felt a pressure building inside my chest. If I said no, would she think I was controlling? Would she leave me anyway? She started hinting that if I could not accept this, maybe we were not compatible anymore. That scared me more than anything. I was terrified of losing her. So after 2 long weeks of agony, I agreed. I told myself that maybe she was right. Maybe she would try this and realize it was not what she wanted. Maybe she would come back to me fully. I was holding on to hope like a drowning man holds on to driftwood. We sat down and created rules. We had to be honest with each other. We had to practice safe habits. Nobody we saw could come to our home. Our families and friends could not know about this arrangement. She agreed to everything, and I thought maybe this would work out. But when I said yes, I felt something inside me break. It was like swallowing a stone made of ice. I had just agreed to share my wife with other people, but I put on a calm face. I told her I supported her. I told her I wanted her to be happy. Inside, I was dying. The first few months of our experiment were torture. Amanda started going out more and more. She had girls' nights every week, sometimes twice a week. She would come home at 2 or 3 in the morning, smelling like perfume and alcohol. She was always on her phone, smiling and laughing at messages. I tried to act normal. I went to work, came home, made dinner, and waited for her. I kept telling myself this was just a phase. But every night she was gone, I felt more and more hollow. I did not date anyone else. I did not even try. I had no interest. I still loved Amanda with everything I had. Some nights I would sit alone in our apartment eating dinner by myself, wondering how we had gotten here. I felt like an idiot for agreeing to this. But I had made my choice and I was stuck with it. Things got worse about 4 months in. I will never forget the night I saw the text message. Amanda had left her phone on the kitchen counter while she went to take a shower. It lit up with a notification and I glanced at it without thinking. The name on the screen was Derek with a little heart emoji next to it. The message preview said, "Cannot wait to see you tomorrow, babe." My stomach dropped. I knew that name. Derek was one of Amanda's co-workers. She had mentioned him before, always talking about how charming he was, how successful he was in the company. I remembered meeting Derek once at her company holiday party last year. He was tall, confident, wore expensive suits, and had one of those perfect smiles that seemed practiced. Amanda had introduced us, and I remembered feeling a weird tension even then. Now, it all made sense. This was not just about exploring anymore. She had someone specific. She had Derek. When Amanda came out of the shower, I confronted her. I asked her directly about Derek. She did not even try to deny it. She said yes, she had been seeing him for the past 2 months, but then she turned it around on me. She said I had agreed to this. This was what an open marriage meant. She could see other people, and Derek was one of those people. I tried to explain that this felt different. This was not just casual exploration. She was in a relationship with him. She was spending more time with him than with me. She was breaking the rules we had set. Amanda got defensive. She called me possessive and jealous. She said I had agreed to this arrangement, and I could not just change the rules now because I did not like how it was going. She said she still loved me, but yes, she also had feelings for Derek. She said she was capable of loving more than one person. I asked her how much time she spent thinking about our marriage compared to how much time she spent thinking about him. She did not answer that question. Instead, she said she needed some space. She left the apartment and did not come back until the next morning. The next few months were a slow-motion car crash. Amanda came home less and less. When she was home, she was distant and cold. We stopped having dinner together. We stopped talking about our days. We stopped being a couple. She spent most nights at Derek's place. I knew because she would tell me casually, like it was the most normal thing in the world. Her clothes started smelling like a cologne I did not recognize. She stopped wearing her wedding ring when she went to work. She changed the password on her phone. Every sign was there screaming at me that my marriage was over, but I was too afraid to accept it. I tried everything I could think of to save us. I suggested marriage counseling. She said she did not think that would help. I asked if we could stop the open marriage arrangement and go back to how things were. She looked at me like I had asked her to cut off her own arm. She said she could not do that. She would not do that. This was who she was now, and I needed to accept it. I was falling apart. I lost 15 pounds because I barely ate. I could not focus at work. My manager pulled me aside twice to ask if everything was okay. My best friend Mark noticed I looked terrible and kept asking what was wrong, but I was too embarrassed to tell him the truth. How could I explain that I had agreed to let my wife date other people, and now I was paying the price? I felt like the biggest fool in the world. I was living in a nightmare, and I could not wake up. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Thursday in late September. I was sitting on the couch watching television, not really paying attention to what was on the screen. Amanda came home around 8, which was earlier than usual. She asked me to turn off the TV because she needed to talk to me about something important. My heart sank. I knew whatever she was about to say would not be good. She sat down next to me, but not too close. She looked nervous, which was strange because Amanda was never nervous. She took a deep breath and told me she was pregnant. For a split second, a tiny stupid part of me hoped maybe it was mine. But then she said the words that shattered me completely. It was Derek's baby. The room started spinning. I could not breathe. I asked her how this happened. She said it was an accident. They had been careful most of the time, but one night they were not careful enough, and now she was 8 weeks pregnant. I sat there in complete shock, unable to form words. But then she said something that made me realize just how little she understood about what she had done to me. She said she had decided to keep the baby, and she wanted me to stay. She wanted us to raise the child together. She actually said, "We can make this work. You can be the father figure." I stared at her like she had grown a second head. Was she serious? Did she really think I would agree to raise another man's child while she continued her relationship with that man? I asked her what Derek thought about all this. Her face fell. She admitted that Derek was not ready for this kind of commitment. He had told her it was too soon for him to become a father. He wanted her to consider other options, but she had refused. So Derek had backed away. He was not returning her calls as much. He was suddenly too busy to see her. She had realized that Derek was not the man she thought he was. And now she was coming back to me, her safety net, expecting me to catch her. I felt rage like I had never felt before. Not just anger, but a deep burning fury at how little respect she had for me. She had destroyed our marriage for this man. She had chosen him over me again and again. And now that he did not want her anymore, she expected me to just step in and fix everything. She thought I would raise his child. She thought my love for her was so pathetic and desperate that I would accept anything, no matter how humiliating, just to keep her in my life. I looked at Amanda sitting there on our couch, her hand on her stomach, and I did not recognize her anymore. This was not the woman I had married. This was not the woman I had loved for 5 years. This was a stranger who had used my love as a weapon against me. And in that moment, something inside me finally broke free. Not broke down, but broke free. I realized I did not have to do this anymore. I did not have to accept this. I deserved better than this. I stood up from the couch. Amanda looked at me with hope in her eyes, probably thinking I was about to hug her or tell her everything would be okay. Instead, I said, "I cannot do this anymore." She started to speak, but I held up my hand. I told her, "You made your choice when you chose him over me every single day for months. Now, I am making mine." I walked to our bedroom, grabbed my jacket and my keys, and left the apartment. I heard her calling after me, but I did not look back. I drove to Mark's house. When he opened the door and saw my face, he did not ask questions. He just let me in. I told him everything that night, every humiliating detail. He listened without judgment, and when I was done, he said something I will never forget. He said, "Jason, you have been drowning for months and you have finally decided to swim. Do not go back under." The next morning, I called a divorce attorney. Her name was Patricia Rodriguez, and she had excellent reviews for family law cases. I met with her that afternoon. I told her everything, showed her the text messages I had saved between Amanda and Derek, the emails where Amanda had first proposed the open marriage idea. Everything. Patricia told me I had a strong case. Amanda had violated the terms of our marriage, and I had evidence to prove it. We started preparing the divorce papers immediately. I opened a new bank account and transferred half of our joint savings into it. I was not trying to cheat Amanda out of anything. I just wanted to protect what was mine. I called my parents and told them everything. They were shocked and angry at Amanda, but they were supportive of me. My mom cried on the phone, but she told me she was proud of me for standing up for myself. My dad offered to help with legal fees if I needed it. Mark came to stay with me at the apartment for a few days to make sure I was okay. Amanda had been staying at Derek's place even though their relationship was falling apart. She kept texting me, asking if we could talk. I did not respond. There was nothing left to say. 2 weeks after that horrible conversation, I had the divorce papers drawn up. I had them delivered to Amanda at her work. I did not want to see her face when she got them. Her reaction came via phone. She called me 15 times in a row. When I finally answered, she was crying and yelling at the same time. She could not believe I was actually doing this. She said we could work through it. She said she had made mistakes, but we could fix things. She begged me not to throw away 5 years of marriage. But I was calm, calmer than I had been in months. I told her there was nothing left to work through. She had made her choices and now she had to live with them. She got angry then. She accused me of abandoning her when she needed me most. She said I was cruel and heartless. I told her she had abandoned our marriage the moment she chose Derek over me. I told her I hoped she and Derek figured things out, but either way, I was done. Then I hung up. The divorce process took about 3 months. Amanda tried to make it difficult. She wanted more than her fair share of our assets. She wanted me to help support her during the pregnancy, but Patricia was excellent at her job. With all the evidence we had, and with Amanda's clear violation of our marriage commitment, I came out of the divorce fairly. I kept our apartment since I could afford it on my own, and Amanda did not want to stay there anyway. We split our savings down the middle. I kept my car. She kept hers. By December, it was all finalized. I was officially divorced. I heard through mutual friends that things did not work out with Derek after all. He completely ghosted Amanda after the baby was born. She was raising the child on her own, now living in a smaller apartment across town. Part of me felt bad for her, but a larger part of me felt nothing. She had made her bed, and now she was lying in it. The first few months after the divorce were strange. The apartment felt empty without another person there, even though Amanda had barely been there for months before we split. I would come home from work and sit in the silence. Some nights I felt sad remembering the good times we had before everything fell apart. I questioned my decision a few times, wondering if I should have tried harder to make it work. But then I would remember the look on her face when she told me I could be the father figure to another man's child, and I knew I had made the right choice. I threw myself into work. I took on extra projects, stayed late at the office, and pushed myself harder than I ever had before. My manager noticed, and 3 months after my divorce was finalized, I got promoted to senior engineer with a significant raise. I started taking better care of myself. I joined a gym and went every morning before work. I started hiking on weekends. I read books I had been meaning to read for years. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected during my marriage. I also started seeing a therapist. Her name was Dr. Chen, and she helped me work through a lot of the pain and confusion I was feeling. She helped me understand that what Amanda had done was not my fault. I had not failed as a husband. I had been manipulated and taken advantage of by someone who was supposed to love and respect me. Dr. Chen taught me about boundaries and self-respect. She helped me see that walking away from Amanda was not weakness, it was strength. About 6 months after the divorce, I ran into an old friend from college named Sarah at a coffee shop downtown. We had been close friends back in school, but had lost touch after graduation. We sat and talked for 2 hours, catching up on life. She had gone through her own difficult breakup recently, so we understood each other's pain. We exchanged numbers and started meeting up regularly. There was no pressure, no expectations. We were just two people who enjoyed each other's company. Slowly, very slowly, I started to feel like myself again. I started to remember what it felt like to be respected and valued. Sarah listened when I talked. She cared about my opinions. She showed up when she said she would. These seemed like small things, but after what I had been through with Amanda, they meant everything. I was not in love with Sarah, at least not yet, but I was open to the possibility, and that felt like progress. Looking back on my marriage now, I do not regret the divorce, not even a little bit. Yes, I wasted 5 years of my life with someone who did not value me the way I deserved, but I learned something crucial from that experience. I learned that loving someone does not mean accepting disrespect. It does not mean sacrificing your dignity to keep them in your life. Real love involves mutual respect, honesty, and consideration. What Amanda and I had at the end was not love. It was toxicity disguised as freedom. I do not hate Amanda anymore. I did for a while, but that anger eventually faded. She made her choices and she is living with the consequences. I made mine, and I am living with mine. The difference is I am actually happy with where I ended up. I have my self-respect back. I have my peace. I have a future that belongs to me and nobody else. Sometimes people ask me if I would ever get married again. My answer is yes, but only to someone who values commitment the same way I do. Only to someone who understands that marriage is not a cage. It is a choice you make every single day to put your partner first. Amanda forgot that. Or maybe she never really understood it in the first place. There are nights when I still think about that conversation in our kitchen when she first asked for an open marriage. I wonder what would have happened if I had said no right away. Would she have left me then? Probably, and honestly, that would have been better. I would have been hurt, but I would not have spent months torturing myself watching the woman I loved choose someone else over me again and again. I learned that sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to walk away before things get worse. And I learned that self-love is not selfish. It is survival. She thought I would stay. She really believed that my love for her was so complete and unconditional that I would accept anything. She thought I would raise another man's child, share my home with the ghost of her affair, and pretend everything was fine. But she was wrong. The divorce papers said otherwise. And those papers set me free. So here I am now, almost a year later, living in the same apartment, but in a completely different life. I am healthier, happier, and more confident than I have been in years. I am building a life that is mine with people who actually care about me. I am learning to trust again slowly but surely. And I am finally understanding that sometimes the person you love becomes someone you do not recognize. And that is when you have to love yourself more. Walking away was not giving up, it was choosing me. And that choice saved my life. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between staying in a relationship and respecting yourself? What would you have done in my position? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, or if you think someone else needs to hear it, please share this video. And if you have not already, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories like this one. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there who might be going through something similar. Remember, you deserve respect, you deserve honesty, and you deserve love that does not hurt. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.